Hey Heather, how you been?
Good, Inga. It's great to see you.
Yeah, it's great. Been great to see you too. Connect with you again after quite a few months, right?
Yes,
Since we haven't. I mean, we've been talking quite a few. I mean, through text and everything else, but last time we Zoom called, it's been a while, right?
yes.
And so, what would you like to share about um, about how you help the special needs community? Because I know that you have quite a few things that you do. That's all very helpful.
Yes, it's two things. I like to give hope to families with either youth or adults that may have special needs or different type of disabilities that are looking for career opportunities.
Mhm.
So I like to provide resources and education on that. Some cases I will get involved with fundraising through my company or other community partners.
Yep.
And then the other thing is I feel very passionate about educating families in the community on how entrepreneurship can give freedom, flexibility, and help families build financial independence.
Mhm. That's definitely something that we all need to look into eventually in the future, especially when we have special need kids. It's just it does help a lot. I mean, like I'm doing that route, and it's been very helpful for my family and I and my son. Especially since I homeschool him, it's been a lot easier. Also being able to do actually like just the other day. I'll just like another example. My family and I just went out to lunch, and because my son he was doing his schooling, but he was able to do do it while we're at lunch, and so everyone was like amazed. They're like, "Oh wow, your son's doing schooling. Well, he's eating lunch. He's out eating lunch." And we're like, "Yeah, that's the flexibility of it." So we're just able to just do certain things like that.
It's very true. My parents weren't around much when I was growing up, and it definitely kind of felt left a void there. So I knew when I was going to have children myself, I wanted to be more present in their lives. And I saw entrepreneurship as a vehicle to do that.
Hmm. Exactly. And do you have any tips or advice on how to get into that, like be able to work, entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I think, it really starts with the why. Why do you want to go into business for
Hmm.
yourself? What is your, because at the end of the day, whether you have a career or a business, it can get hard. You're going to have good days and you're going to have hard days.
Hmm.
And that why is going to be the thing that keeps you going. Um, from even when I was a child, I knew I wanted to be a business owner. I did lemonade stands. I made Hallmark cards.
Hmm.
We were trying to sell those. I was doing organizing bake sales. I was always trying to do some business thing when I was a kid. So it was just kind of in my DNA. And I do come from a family of business owners as well. So I'm sure that was part of it. Um,
I'm sure.
but what happened was you go to college and you go get a corporate job, right? And I was always very career minded, and people would say, oh, you're going to get married, you're going to have children, you're not going to work. I'm like, no, I'm going to be CEO of some company. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to be a stay-at-home mom. Why would I ever want to do that? Like, it just wasn't wired in me. And maybe it was because I had kind of a atypical childhood, so I just was strange to me, that concept. Plus being a military brat, I moved around a lot, so
Oh,
I just had a different upbringing,
yeah.
to say the least. So, when you're young in your 20s, you think you know everything, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
and then God or life knocks you on your ass and, kind of you get a slap of reality and you're kind of like, okay,
Hmm.
I had a good corporate career track. I put myself through college. And my first son was born and he had a lot of health issues. And my bosses were very supportive. And at that time, I lived outside of Boston, so I'd have a long commute. And I had him in the best daycare center possible.
Hmm.
But I will say that it was more than our mortgage payment
Yeah.
monthly. And then the
Yeah.
cost of commuting into Boston, I had to buy my commuter train pass, my parking pass. You work in a corporate environment, suits, the whole nine yards. Our accountant said, you're spending more doing all this. You could stay home,
Yeah.
because and he knew too we were having challenges because my son had a lot of health problems. So I would keep missing time. And he knew I was having this struggle internally, wanting to be the best mother I could be. And then how much time can you take off for doctor's appointments? And then he'd go back to daycare. They'd have strict guidelines. But I mean, everyone knows how illnesses are at daycares. But, he caught RSV, 20 years ago. And that was a very rare thing back then, on top of all his other issues he had going on. And it was just very hard. And so my husband and I talked, he changed jobs. And I said, okay, I'll be a stay-at-home mom. Right. And he changed jobs. It was supposed to be this great promotion. They promised him all the world. And wintertime came. And meanwhile, Roman was on prescription medicine, prescription formula. And he was supposed to have 2 surgeries within his first 2 years of being alive. And my husband loses his job the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And what do you do when you're newlyweds? And my husband and I were always had a lot of pride, and we're like, we'd do everything ourselves. We're not going to ask family for help. But we're like, what the hell are we going to do? We had bought a fixer-upper house because we loved the property that it came with it. We're like, what are we going to do? And it was the benefits. So I gave up my great benefits when I quit my job, and then he had them. And then when he lost his job, we're like, what are we going to do? And then I was like, I don't even know. Neither of us wanted to call our families. And I was talking to a couple of friends, like, well, maybe you could get Medicaid. I'm like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Like state assistance. There was less programs back then. And I had called them, and they're like, well, the best thing we can tell you is you don't qualify. I'm like, but I have a newborn. You would think my newborn would qualify.
Yeah, that is
Medical necessity. No, the best thing I can tell you to do is get divorced. And I thought that was the craziest thing I'd ever heard. And I was so fired up. And I told my husband, he's like, well, if that's what we need to do, I'm like, just shut up. We will find a way. Don't even go there.
Yeah. That is why.
And then I called my boss, and she said, well, why don't you consult freelance? And back then that wasn't common like it is now, be a contractor. And I had been working in marketing, and I had a very strong marketing acumen. So that helped me a lot. A lot of people going to business for themselves don't know how to market. So I knew how to market on a shoestring. So I had to learn real fast how to make money, and so we could get through the Christmas and have food on the table, and some other wonderful things fell into place on my husband's side. And I'd say, God definitely intervened, but that's really what pushed me to start my business. And at that point, it was a marketing business I had started. And that's really what did it 20 years ago. I was thinking about that a while ago, that, geez, I've been an entrepreneur for 20 plus years. That's great. And it's crazy at the same time, because it doesn't feel like I've been doing it that long.
Yeah, you accomplished something, that's for sure. So that's
right. And it from previous conversations, I'm just passionate about educating and empowering other parents, because I know how hard it can be being a parent.
Yes.
I've worked for corporations, Fortune 500, global enterprises, small businesses. Parenting is always the hardest job you could ever have in your life. It's also the most rewarding. But I don't care if you read Dr. Spock or what book you read, nothing's going to prepare you for parenting.
Yeah, that is very.
And entrepreneurship gave me that freedom and the flexibility I needed to care for my son, and be present for I have 2 sons now. One of my oldest, Roman, is graduated. He works for my company. So he did very well. He graduated college a year early. And a business degree in operations management. So he kind of takes after me a little bit. And then my youngest is at he's a sophomore at Clemson, a mechanical engineer.
Wow. Both are doing great. That's amazing.
Yes. But the reason I just love helping other parents is because it took me a long time to figure it out. If you're in business long enough, you're going to have ups and downs. It's a roller coaster. And fortunately, today, there's a lot more resources.
Yeah.
When I started out, there was hardly anything available.
Mhm.
So it's just amazing how things change. But I always want to be a resource for others. And that's why I help out. I've mentored through SCORE. I'm part of another think tank that helps um, with mentoring minority and female entrepreneurs, because I just want to make sure everybody has the resources at their fingertips, because I
Yeah,
really think individuals and families should have the tools they need to have the most freedom and build financial independence for themselves. Moms and dads should be in control of their lives and not be at the whim of some corporation or some employer.
yeah, that's very true. And is your husband still working or is he retired now?
No, he is still working.
Okay.
I would love for him to retire, but he would be bored to death.
Yeah.
He is on the management side. He's an electrical contractor.
Okay. So he's still
He's
kind
done a lot of big projects, industrial, over the years.
of okay. That's great. So it keeps him busy. Yeah, that's good. I was just wondering if he
Yeah,
works
he
or
can fix anything, which is great, but he's an electrician by trade.
wow. That's, definitely need those.
Yes.
Definitely need men like him because everyone has their electrical problems and especially like businesses and stuff like that. They have all kinds of electrical problems sometimes and who knows. Definitely something that we need to keep going. Because I know that nowadays, that since there is a lot of work from home opportunities and being able to generate incomes from home, that a lot of people don't really want to do the whole hard labor, like being an electrician and doing the warehouse loadings and all that stuff. So I'm just saying, like, that's good that, something we still need and people don't realize that we still need those things, but just kids nowadays, they don't want to work.
No, it's true. I always say I'm my husband's best recruiter, because I'll meet young people and or moms on Facebook or somewhere saying, "Hey, my son or daughter just graduated. They're interested in X, Y, or Z." I'll try to send them over to my husband, because people don't realize you can go into the trades,
Mhm.
work your way up, get paid education, you pay your dues as far as working hard, but there's a career path, and then you'll be making six figures, have vacation, sick time. For a lot of the big companies do have 401ks,
Yeah.
disability, great insurance,
Hmm.
and they can provide very well for their families. And then they don't have student debt.
Yeah. Something that, a lot of kids don't want to deal with nowadays. So they don't even go to school. I think that's another thing too, that I don't know. I just been hearing a lot of new generations, how they're all, becoming to where they're like more into electronics and, software and engineering and everything else. So it's like, so I'm trying to figure out like even they want to get into like the whole, the software engineering and, the whole computer stuff. And so I'm just like, okay. And they don't really want to do the hard labor stuff anymore. It's just like, it's kind of,
Yeah,
it's like a good and bad thing. I mean, yeah, I know we're evolving, but then also it seems like we're kind of going backwards at the same time.
exactly. I think society needs a good balance, right? Because during COVID, people were afraid to have people come over. But what happened if their HVAC went out
Yeah, that's
and
true.
it's 98 degrees outside?
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know, what are they going to do? So
yeah.
services are always going to be essentially needed.
Mm.
But people got to choose a path they're passionate about,
Yeah.
and you mentioned whether it's career path for entrepreneurs, or let me rephrase that. There's great career path for special needs
Mhm.
children. There are a great list of employers I'm happy to share with you. And there are organizations that will actually they'll work with those youth as well. And there's professionals like myself too that will also help make connections
Okay.
for job opportunities.
Yeah, that'd be great because then we can also include that. And I know you don't be including a bio too, right? And also some links.
Yes,
Would you want to include the links to those, or would you rather have them like contact one of us for that
I'll
information?
give you both, and you can do whatever is most convenient for you and your listeners.
Okay. All right. And since we're on that topic, would you like to introduce yourself so everyone knows like what you do and who you are and whatnot?
Yeah, so I'm a self-proclaimed small business expert since I've been doing this for over 20 years. I feel like I got some grays popping in just saying that. But I have owned 3 businesses. I'm also a award-winning business broker. Less than 10% of business brokers worldwide are certified, so I am certified. So that means if you go to buy or sell a business, you're going to get a higher level of expertise and negotiation and insight for doing that. But so I basically work with 2 sets of people. I work with aspiring entrepreneurs. So I will help the stay-at-home parent, the person getting out of the military, or the burnout teacher or nurse or first responder, help them get the tools and funding and business planning they need. Even if they need help with site selection, with negotiating a lease, we can help them with that.
Wow.
And help them start their business. I helped a firefighter and a school nurse married. They've been public servants for over 20 years, and they'd have always wanted to own a restaurant. So I helped them through the whole process and helped them save a lot of money as well.
Wow.
And it's just great to see people that have served others for so long, to have a piece of the American dream. It just makes me so happy.
Yeah, no, I bet.
They're building that for their kids, you know.
Yeah, that is great. I mean, I mean, of course, I'm sure they're still in business. How long ago did you do that?
See, November.
Okay, November, so they're
And not,
still
yeah,
fairly
so
new
not too
to it,
long.
right?
Yeah, they're still happy. They're loving it. And then they have other relatives that are involved. So it really is a whole affair. And I worked with somebody that was in the Navy. He was killing himself at his job. He worked for a manufacturing company, 80 hours a week, not making 6 figures. A father of 6 kids.
Wow.
Sole, provider. And he'd always dreamed of being a business owner. And he had built up a good nest egg fixing up cars and selling them. So him and his wife had been referred to me, and I said, okay, tell me what you want. I listened to him, and he said, well, we want you to help us buy X. I said, well, I can help you buy X, but I think you need to look at something else instead. I'm giving you this professional recommendation based on what I know, but also if you were my brother.
Yeah.
And this other business I'm pointing you to is a better fit, and here's why. There was a lot of background knowledge he was not aware of.
Interesting.
So now his daughter works in the office. His wife handles the financials for the business, and the son just went to HVAC school and got certified.
Oh, wow, that's great.
And
So
he's only working 40, 45 hours a week. So, and now they all have time together, and they're building something for themselves.
yeah, for generations to come. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So, but I love what I do. Just working with business owners, whether they're starting, scaling, or selling. Sometimes people are selling because a family member has a medical issue, or they're relocating, or unfortunately, major illness or death is another reason. So I will help them sell their business for maximum value. But I really love mentoring, families with children and working with people with special needs, because they have so much to give back. And I think there's so much that they can gain as well from being an entrepreneur. And there's just so much the children can do. The children can get involved with building the family business.
Yeah, that's actually what I want to try to get my son to do with me is help. I actually want to start a little business with him, doing maybe like a cricket business or something like that. And doing like shirts and stickers and decals and stuff like that. So we're thinking about doing that, but I mean, of course, there's a process to it.
No, I think you're on the right track. I mean, you both are very creative, and I think you come into a lot of contact with other small businesses starting out, and all businesses or even social groups or nonprofit organizations like promotional products.
Yeah, that is true.
Right. Or just little tchotchkes, as they call them in the corporate world, or stickers. My husband has a cork board, which is stickers on it. And then he has a hard hat with stickers on it. My youngest son even though he doesn't need to wear a construction hat very often, he has one with stickers. He's carrying that tradition on. And you see people with their stickers on their laptops,
Oh yeah.
their
Decals.
cars.
Yeah, decals on the cars. Yeah, there's all kinds of.
Yeah, their Stanley cups or whatever. So I think you're onto something.
Yeah. Well, I want to do like a kind of like an autism theme, like what the good things about autism, of course, and just start doing little things with it, like little phrases and stuff like that. So that's what I'm looking into. Try to get my son to do some things with me too, like, oh, what do you think of this? And what do you think of, just certain things, what comes to mind for him too, and his little
No, I
job.
think that's awesome. He can help you with product development,
Yeah, exactly.
right? And then he can help you with sales. Some of my fondest memories are when I was with my sons and we were selling popcorn or whatever, either for scouts
Mhm.
or if we were doing some fundraiser project at school. And we were doing a bake sale or whatever.
Oh, that's
Uh,
great. Yeah,
the valuable lessons that they learn about customer service, they learn how to count money,
that is true.
teaches them, sometimes looking people in the eyes is hard,
Mhm.
right? But sometimes kids communicate better with strangers than they do with their parents because they see us all the time.
That is true, actually. I've noticed that. Yeah, because my son, he likes talking to people and communicating with people, and I mean, he has really good eye contact. I mean, he can stare you down and just like, like sometimes I have to look away. I'm like, okay, why are you staring at me so much? So I mean, he has great eye contact, and he loves, talking to people and everything else. So he already has that mindset, the business mindset, I think.
That's awesome because, kids, no matter where they're coming from, special needs or not,
Hmm.
communication and talking to others can be a challenge.
Yeah, just got to work on his communication to where people can actually understand him. That's the only thing that's holding him back. It's just his communication barrier a little bit.
Right. And it's just, it's being in that environment. It's something he gets to use his creative skills.
Mhm.
Some kids are really good. My son was really good with numbers
Yeah.
and it ed. So, doing math, calculating how much money they made,
Hmm.
profit margins, creating a budget, going shopping for supplies. That was my kids love that. That was dangerous. I'd get to the checkout at Target. I'm like, where do these 5 things come from? I knew I had my eyes on them the whole time.
Yeah, they try to add stuff to you, add stuff to the cart and everything else. Yeah, I understand that. I mean, as long as you mention Robux to my son, he'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm good. I'm for it because he loves his Roblox and he loves, buying things on Roblox to get his Robux or whatnot. So it's like, okay, all you got to do is say that, and he's like, okay, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, there's so much great education opportunities having a family business or a loan business, and it could be home based or not.
Mhm.
I've worked with families with kids with special needs. One mom, a couple of them were virtual assistants.
Mm.
Med spa, they all started a med spa, and other ones were food services. They did baked goods. It really depends
Oh,
on
okay.
your local ordinances
Yeah,
because every region's different on what they require for food safety. But some markets will let you do baked goods or
yeah,
sourdough breads or prepackaged goods or beauty supplies or beauty
mm,
products. Pet sitting.
yeah. I
I
heard pet sitting. A
know
lot
at
of
least
people do
three
that.
people have made 6 figures, handsome incomes doing pet sitting businesses.
Wow.
Father and son teams doing landscaping,
Hmm.
and that's something they can start young and that can grow.
Yeah, that's true. Seen a
Also,
few
no
business
nurse.
doing that.
Yeah. My oldest, he loves doing yard work. It gives me peace of mind being outside. He's not one to just go outside, but he loves doing yard work. Go for it.
That's great. There you go. See, you have your own little landscaper.
Yeah, it's like meditation for him or whatever.
Yeah, that's good.
Or nutrition businesses or, digital products, or like you said, you mentioned promotional items or coaching.
Mhm.
So, insurance is a good opportunity as well. There are independent and franchise insurance agencies that will hire parents at home to
Mhm.
go get licensed
Wow.
and have like their own line of business through the agency.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Great.
So there's a lot of opportunity there.
Hmm.
and certain agencies, without giving any like preferences away or anything,
Mhm.
if you work for them for a few years, they do have a program for employees to own their own agencies.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, that's one way to get started. Like people always think it's kind of hard to jump into this, but it's actually pretty easy once you start. You're learning and you talk to people and you do your research. I think makes it a lot easier,
Yeah,
especially
and
when someone talks to you. I'm sure that you can get into it really quickly.
exactly. I have referred quite a few people over to insurance because depending on personality, right? That's part of it. You got to enjoy talking to people. You got to generally enjoy helping other people.
Yeah.
One of my favorite insurance people in the whole world, um, his father died young,
Mm.
and they didn't have insurance.
Oh no. Yeah, that's not good.
And I know somebody else through Scouts, it was the same thing. They did budgets was tight. It was a down economy. They cut back insurance. One of the parents died unexpectedly.
Mm.
Just set off the whole thing. One case when we were in Charlotte, it was a mom that had died. The
Mm.
dad was out of town on a job interview for Google,
Oh wow.
and she was home alone with her special needs son.
Mm.
And that poor son didn't know what to do. We have done first aid training through Scouts, so he did know to call 911 and try a couple things, but it just broke my heart because he was 11 years old.
Mm. That's sad.
But that's a story for another day. But both families were drastically impacted by not having a good insurance coverage. So one of my professional friends, that drove him to create his own insurance agency
Mm.
when he became an adult,
Yeah.
because one of the mentors in his life was an insurance agent.
Mm.
Um, and he never wanted anyone else's family to go through that experience.
Yeah, I don't blame them. I mean, that's something, sometimes that's what urges you to get into that kind of, into the career path because you kind of live that and like you don't want anyone else to go through that. And so that's kind of like I think that's how it kind of molds us into who we are now, just like certain experiences.
Exactly. So people don't always get excited when I mention insurance, but you can have a lot of flexibility. And I think ultimately that's why I'm such a cheerleader for entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
Parents with kids with special needs, it's even better to have that kind of flexibility, whether you have children that need to go to therapy, doctor appointments,
Mhm.
school. If you want to be able to homeschool,
Yeah.
wonderful. To be able to have that flexibility or to chaperone school field trips.
Yeah. Exactly.
I hardly missed anything in my kids' lives because I had that flexibility.
Yeah. Very understandable. Yes, definitely. It does come in handy having that behind you and having that opportunity to be able to do that stuff, all those things.
And I also think it helps parents create a network. It can be sometimes lonely being a parent, especially if you're new to an area.
Mhm.
I lived in a very rural area when I was a new mom, so it was tough.
Yeah.
Um, but there was a local moms club, and that really helped. But also, starting my own business forced me to get out in the community, meet
Mm.
community partners. I was teaching workshops, taking on clients. It helped.
Yeah, it
Uh,
does actually. I know some people do say it's kind of lonely being at home and, working for yourself or with yourself and stuff like that. But it's not. I mean, I talk to so many people all the time. So I mean, I'm always reaching out to people, always talk. I mean more people actually more so now than I do actually when I was actually working outside of home.
that's wonderful.
So I mean, I think there's pros and cons to all this. I mean, you just gotta, go with the with the flow of everything and just eventually go, okay, yeah, this is actually working and then just enjoy it. Enjoy the process.
Exactly. And you can do entrepreneurship part-time or you could do it full-time. It really just depends on what your why
Mhm.
is for going into business
Yeah.
and how strong your desire is,
Yeah.
because entrepreneurship sure does generate money for your family,
Mhm.
um, but it also can give you a fulfillment
Yeah.
as well. So that's also important because there's different kinds of rewards for being in business. I know business owners that will trade services with each other.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
They barter, you know.
Yeah, I've seen that too before. Yeah, I've seen how companies do that. Oh,
Yeah, so it really depends on the relationships and make sure it's balanced and even, you know.
got a little froze there. It was great having you as a guest, and always, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Inga. I'm always happy to be a resource to your family and to your supporters.
Yes, thank you. And we'll definitely look into, I'll definitely put all your info. I don't know why I just said all your info into your description, and so people can definitely contact you. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be interested in, entrepreneurship, because I know a lot of special needs parents are looking for that route. And so I'm glad you were able to share your experiences with everybody.
No, happy to. I will put those resources together and get them over to you.
Okay. And of course, like always, you're always welcome to come back and share more.
Thank you. Have a
All right.
great day.
You too. All right. Bye.